The story began while the demi-humans were being mistreated while working, but our protagonist, Banaza, a merchant, spoke to them and treated them well. After he paid the workers, he even thanked them and invited them to eat, but they refused because they were just demi-humans. However, for him, there was nothing wrong with it. They accepted it and thanked him. Other people judged Banaza for treating the demi-humans equally and well, considering them a lower race. Our protagonist wondered why people looked down on other races. His assistant, Quinn, said she understood Banaza's feelings but that very few people thought like him. Suddenly, Banaza was enveloped in light and vanished. It turned out he had been transported to another world. The people who sent him there called him a hero. Here, he said they might have made a mistake because he was just a merchant, but a cardinal explained that they summoned potential heroes from another world to help them defeat the demon army. Later a servant approached with a crystal to measure his strength, because according to the cardinal, the potential heroes they summoned possess divine skills that cannot be easily acquired by the people of their world. He placed his hand on the crystal, and it lit up, but they discovered that his status was just like that of an ordinary person. They began to think that there might be something wrong with their summoning process. At this point, our protagonist said that he was not a hero but just an ordinary person and asked if he could be sent back to his world. However, another person was summoned, capturing everyone's attention because his status was extremely high, so everyone was delighted and forgot about our protagonist. The king was pleased and announced that he was their new hero. Meanwhile, Banaza wondered why no one was listening to or paying attention to him. The king then spoke to him and said that he could no longer be sent back to his world because the gate they used was closed. They admitted that it was their mistake, so they allowed him to stay in the Delavisa forest, a forest in the north of the kingdom. However, he could not reveal the kingdom's mistake. While traveling, Banaza spoke to the demi-human driving the carriage and asked if he was a slave of the king. The demi-human laughed and said that in their world, everyone is equal. When Banaza asked about their destination, the demi-human closed the window. After a 20-day journey, they arrived at the forest. The demi-human gave him a magical bag, saying it was a gift from the king containing his needs for a few days. However, he was warned not to stay in this forest because a group of demon army was currently there. After the demi-human left, he examined the contents of his magical bag and found a sword, which he noticed was just a low-quality sword. Later, 3 slimes appeared and attacked him. He quickly defeated them, but noticed that his sword was already broken. Suddenly, a system spoke, saying he leveled up and showed his status. However, our protagonist did not understand a certain symbol in his status. He activated the voice command in his system, which displayed all his skills. His system said that the magical bag he was carrying had a spell that attracts monsters, which he thought was the reason he was attacked by slimes earlier. He realized that the king probably wanted him dead and gone. His system removed the spell from the bag, and he decided to enter the forest to find a place to stay. However, his system warned him that the forest was contaminated with malicium, which comes from demons and is harmful to humans. His system told him to purify the forest using one of his spells and 1/3 of his mana. He agreed, and a large magic circle appeared and illuminated. After this, while Banaza was checking if anything had changed, his system suddenly indicated that he had leveled up. Meanwhile, the princess spoke to the king about his mistreatment of Banaza and mentioned that there were reports of a demon army in the Delavisa forest in the north of the kingdom. However, the king didn't care because Banaza was not their hero. Suddenly, a magician arrived and said they had discovered that someone had used a purification spell, one of the highest forms of magic. The king believed that the hero had used it and said he was the strongest in history. However, the magician said this was impossible because the hero was in the south and the purification had occurred in the Delavisa forest in the north. Back to our protagonist, with so many levels, he was surprised and shocked because he was now at level 367, making him wonder how this happened, and he was still thinking about what the symbol on his status meant. When he looked at his mana, he saw it was already full and thought it was probably because it was so low that it filled up quickly. Now, Banaza was thinking about how to get to the town since he was forbidden from going there. At this point, his system said he could change his appearance using his magic. His first attempt was to become a woman, but he thought it wouldn't work and needed to be serious. He liked the outcome of his second attempt. Next, his system said he could use teleportation magic, and he teleported to a town in the kingdom. He was happy that he could use this magic. He tried to teleport back to his world, but it didn't work. Now, he is thinking about how to earn money and thought of going to an adventurer's guild and register to get a job, and when asked for his name, he thought of hiding the truth and introduced himself as Fleo. After being given a rank badge, he immediately looked for a mission to undertake. However, he noticed a little girl looking for someone to take her to Delavisa Forest. The child had money to pay, but no adventurer wanted to do it because of the rumor that a group of demon army was also there. But our protagonist, now named Fleo, agreed and said he would accompany the child there. The child asked if Fleo would really accompany her, and our protagonist replied that they would use his teleportation magic. Everyone who heard this was shocked and couldn't believe that Fleo could use this magic. At this moment, he realized that this magic was not ordinary. Later, a female knight named Balarasa and her group arrived and told him to stay away from the girl. They said he didn't look like a good magician or wizard to perform teleportation magic and thought he had bad intentions, but Fleo explained that he wasn't lying and said he would show and take them along so they wouldn't suspect anything. When they went outside, he used his magic and they all teleported to Delavisa Forest. They were all shocked and surprised. The mage asked if Fleo was a high-order wizard because he could teleport over a long distance, but he replied that he was just a normal adventurer. Here, Balarasa apologized for their judgment, and the young girl noticed something unusual in this place, saying that the militium in the forest was gone. Fleo thought about saying that he was the one who purified the forest, but his system advised him not to share this information with a demon. Later on, the group drew their weapons and stated that the young girl was a demon pretending to be human, and that was their reason for going to the guild. The child smiled and transformed into his demon form, introducing himself as Fenris, the younger sister of Fengaril, one of the Infernal Four. They were all shocked to realize she was a lupin or wolf demon, and they understood that they couldn't fight her. Fenris said she was sent by her brother to observe the enemies. Next, she released her militium, and they are all weakened, but Fleo was not affected by it. So, Fleo saved them and teleported back to the kingdom. Fenris asked why Fleo didn't join in the escape since she would eat him, but Fleo replied that wouldn't happen and said he would stop the demon Fenris using all his magic. He used his meteoric leap to dodge Fenris's attack, followed by his earth magic and wind magic. Because of this, Fenris used her nearby relocation to get behind Fleo. But before she could attack, Fleo used gravitational magic on her. Fenris couldn't believe the strength of Fleo's magic. While thinking about what Fleo would do next, the system told him to use the subjugation spell on Fenris to make her obey and become his slave, but Fleo refused. Meanwhile, Fenris tried to use magic to escape, but the system detected it and prevented her. The system continued to push Fleo to use the subjugation spell, but he didn't want to because he was against slavery. Fenris kept trying to escape until she ran out of magic. At that point, she surrendered and asked Fleo to finish her off as a warrior. However, Fleo said he wouldn't do that because from the very beginning, he didn't want conflict or fighting. Fenris was shocked, saying she was a demon and a warrior who fought against humans, but Fleo replied that he didn't care whether they were human or demon. Here, Fenris realized that Fleo was truly kind, and she transformed into her human form, which surprised Fleo since she was wearing nothing at all. Fleo told Fenris that if she promised not to harm people anymore, he would let her go and even offered her some clothes. However, before Fenris could take them, she lost consciousness due to the depletion of her magic. That night, while Fleo was looking at the magic spells he had, he wondered why almost all of them were powerful types of magic. Later, Fenris woke up, having been watched over by our protagonist. While looking at Fleo, she mentioned that she used to think people were naturally weak. She was surprised to find that all her magic had returned. When she approached Fleo, she realized that Fleo had used healing magic on her, which delighted Fleo since it worked. She told our protagonist that if he were someone else, she would have likely been finished off earlier. Because of this, Fenris swore that she would never hurt people again and would dedicate her whole life to Fleo as her master due to Fleo's extraordinary strength. At first, Fleo was reluctant to accept this, but Fenris was ready to be made a slave by Fleo. He rejected this despite Fenris's pleas and attempts to be cute, and she simply said that if she couldn't be with her master, she would end her own life. This made Fleo agree, just to prevent that, which delighted Fenris. Afterward, he explained everything that had happened to him, stating that he was not from this world and had been summoned to become the next hero until he was thrown into this forest. He also showed his true appearance, saying that if Fenris joined him, she might just suffer and regret it. However, Fenris said she didn't care because of their race. When they recognize someone as their master, they will remain loyal and true to them, so no matter who he is or where he came from, she would accompany him faithfully. Meanwhile, in the palace, the king was talking to the fake hero, asking him why the soldiers sent with him were defeated in the battle against the demon army. The fake hero explained that the soldiers sent to him were scared and cowardly, and he tried everything to save them. After the hero left, he asked a soldier what really happened, and the soldier said that he just stayed behind and ran away at the start of the battle, which made many soldiers dislike him. Meanwhile, as the fake hero was walking, he wondered why, after several months, his skills still hadn't improved and he hadn't gained any special magic. A woman approached him, his personal servant, who accompanied him. After a few days in town, Fleo thought they needed money, so he decided to take a mission from the Adventurers Guild. As they walked, they were mistaken for a married couple by a vendor, and Fleo thought it would be a great idea to pretend to be a couple to avoid arousing suspicion. Fenris was delighted with this idea, as having a strong partner was an honor for her. However, Fleo clarified that they would only be pretending, but it seemed like Fenris wasn't listening and started calling him darling. When they arrived at the guild, Fenris registered as an adventurer, and when asked for her name, she almost revealed her true identity, but Fleo intervened and said her name was Riss. Fenris needed to keep her true identity as a renowned demon a secret and live as a human. Later, a woman announced an important quest to defeat the group of psycho bears in the north, who were heading towards their town. Everyone was concerned because this was the same group that had defeated the hero and his soldiers. No one wanted to accept the quest, so the lady said the reward would be 10 times larger. At first, Fleo was reluctant to accept because the enemies were too strong, but Fenris was confident that Fleo could handle it. If he didn't agree, she would take on this mission to prove it was easy for them. Using teleportation, they immediately went to the mentioned location and saw the house used by the guild for this mission. Later, they heard a noise, so they quickly went there. Upon arrival, they saw Balarasa's group, fighting the psycho bears. Blossom tried to counterattack one, but due to her injury, she failed. Here, Fleo used his lightning bolt, which almost cleared all the enemies, while the remaining one attacked Bellano, but was immediately blocked by Fenris. Balarasa and her group thanked Fleo for saving them again, and asked who the woman with him was. He introduced her as Riss, his travel companion, but Riss assumed she would be introduced as his wife. Later, another psycho bear emerged behind Riss, but before it could attack, it was scared off just by Riss' gaze, and they decided to make the demon psycho bear their pet. This shocked their group. After making it their pet, Fleo used his shape-shift to ensure the bear wouldn't scare others who might see it, and named it Saib. Here, they were amazed once again by the duo's power, as they not only defeated the group of psycho bears in one attack but also managed to tame one without much difficulty. Inside the house, they formally introduced themselves to Fleo.
ベラの魔法使い。私はビレリーって言います。
私はブロッサム、銃騎士をしてる。私はバリロッサ。
After the introduction, they asked Fleo if they could be trained by him to become stronger, as they learned that the fake hero had locked himself in a room and said he wouldn't come out unless they found a powerful companion to fight against the demon army and defeat its leader, known as the Dark One. Because of this, they were all ordered by the king to get stronger. While Fleo was thinking about how to teach them, he noticed Fenris looking angry due to jealousy over these women, so he was forced to introduce Fenris as his wife, and Fenris was delighted by this. After they learned that Fenris and Fleo were actually married, they were embarrassed by their request. But now Fenris herself accepted their request due to her delight towards Fleo. Fleo also agrees and said they would stay with them. In the castle of the Dark One, a demon named Eulimenes was seen reporting to the Dark One about Fengarel's defeat in the Delavisa forest by the purification spell, and she said that this spell did not come from the magicians of the kingdom of Clyrode, but from just one person. Here the Dark One became interested in the person who could use this spell, a kind of high-level magic that could instantly eliminate demons, and he ordered to find this person. The next day, when Fleo woke up, he was surprised because Fenris was there, and he remembered that they needed to sleep in the same room because of their pretense of being a married couple, and Fenris suddenly helped Fleo get dressed, just as Balarasa entered the room to ask about the training. At the start of the training, Balarasa faced a monster, but before she could even finish speaking, it attacked her. Blossom tried to attack it but missed, and before she could be hit by the monster, Fenris told Bellano to use a spell. While Bailarai was freely attacking the monster, it didn't even get scratched from the attack, and Bellano was already out of magic, so they all just ran away from the monster. Fleo couldn't help but think that the others still had a lot to learn. After that, Fleo showed them their new rooms and said that because he had completed his mission and defeated the Psycho Bears, he was able to buy this house at a cheaper price. Fenris called them and said that the food was ready, but they were surprised because it was still raw and not cooked. Fleo said it would be better to cook it, and Balarasa helped him. Riss was puzzled because for her, the meat was more delicious when it was raw. After cooking, they were amazed by the food, and Fleo said that Balarasa helped him prepare it. Here, Balarasa mentioned that she was better at cooking than wielding a sword because they used to be a noble family. While everyone was enjoying their meal, Riss didn't believe it was delicious, especially the vegetables, because they were just plants. However, when she found out that Fleo made it, she immediately tried it and was surprised by its taste. Even the cooked meat was extremely delicious. And she said that next time, she would be the one to cook. At the Adventurers Guild, people were wondering how he always managed to defeat many wild boars. While waiting for his payment, Riss said goodbye, claiming she had somewhere to go and didn't want Fleo to accompany her. While Fleo was being talked to by the guild staff, he was told that due to his achievements, he was invited to work for the hero and the king would appoint him as an honorary knight. Fleo thought about it, but then he realized he had no reason to fight the demons, especially since he was with Riss now. So, he declined, and when he went out, he saw Riss was dirty and had wounds. He thought maybe these were caused by beasts, but she was just struggling with cooking. In reality, she was trying to learn how to cook to impress Fleo, but she struggled with it. On the other hand, while being surrounded by women, the fake hero heard about Fleo as a strong adventurer who could help in the fight against the Dark One. After a month, we saw that Fleo was talking to a knight from a kingdom, who he often visited, asking him to join the group of heroes and become a knight, but Fleo kept declining. While Fleo was looking at Blossom's farm, who used to be a farmer, Riss was teaching Bailarai, but said she couldn't attack the monsters because she found them too cute. Meanwhile, Fleo gave Bellano a ring he had made, which amplified the magic of its wearer. When Fleo left, Bellano tried to move the ring but was caught by Riss. Suddenly, Balarasa shouted that she was being attacked by a monster and asked Fleo for help, but Riss stepped in to assist her instead. It seemed Balarasa was just trying to get Fleo's attention, while Eulimenes watched everything unfold. That night, everyone was surprised by Riss' cooking skills, and when asked, she admitted she secretly learned to cook for Fleo, which Fleo appreciated and was touched by it. Eulimenes noticed Riss' actions and was surprised, as Fenris was one of the most feared warriors in the demon army. Riss sensed Eulimenes' presence and went to meet her, letting her in and asking what she was doing there. She replied that she was just investigating and happened to see Riss, who introduced Fleo as her husband, leaving Eulimenes shocked. Eulimenes wondered how Fleo had changed Riss and how he remained calm despite being surrounded by demons. Moreover, she couldn't read Fleo's status, even though she could read even the Dark Ones. Eulimenes mentioned the change in the forest, noting the absence of magical beasts, and Fleo explained that it might be due to the purification spell he had cast. Eulimenes was surprised to hear this and told Fenris that he was the one who ended her brother's life using the spell. Fleo didn't know about this and was shocked. He asked Riss if she knew what had happened. Riss said that based on Fleo's strength, she knew that he was the one who used this spell because not many people could use it alone. However, she wasn't angry because her brother was a Lupin warrior who didn't deserve pity. She also said that it was her brother's fault as well because he lost so easily, not even putting up a fight, which was surprising even among the Infernal Four. She also said that she was in love with Fleo because of his strength and acknowledged him as her master, and she wouldn't change her feelings. It turned out that Balarasa and others had been eavesdropping on the conversation, and discovered that Riss and Fenris were one and the same. Eulimenes thought that Fleo posed a threat to the demon army, especially with Riss by his side. This prompted her to challenge Fleo to a sparring match to test the strength of Fenris' partner. However, her true intention was to take down both of them. Meanwhile, Riss assumed that Eulimenes just wanted to flirt with Fleo. Outside, Eulimenes announced the rules and said that they could use magic and fight until one of them surrendered. At the start, Eulimenes immediately attacked and used Demon Claw as a deception in the second attack, meant for both him and Riss, but it was quickly discovered by Fleo and immediately dispelled, surprising Eulimenes. There, Fleo used the crucifixion spell on Eulimenes and said that he was Eulimenes' enemy and that he wouldn't let Riss get involved into his attacks. Due to the power of the spell, Eulimenes immediately surrendered. The next day, Fleo apologized to everyone for hiding Riss' true identity, and it will be understandable if they report this to the kingdom. Balarasa said that they should definitely report this to the kingdom, but they knew that Riss had changed and had even taught them to grow stronger, so they won't do it. Fleo thanked everyone, when suddenly Eulimenes arrived with accompanying dragons to avenge, and said she would let Fleo leave if he surrendered and agreed to be the Dark One's follower. But before she could even finish talking, Eulimenes was startled by Fleo's joy at seeing the dragon, and said it was his first time seeing it. Even in his old world, he never saw it. Eulimenes was annoyed at being ignored, so she attacked. However, using holy magic and heavenly hammer, Fleo almost exterminated all the dragons brought by Eulimenes. These were the strongest dragons in the demon army. Seeing the remaining dragons flee, Eulimenes also escaped. Riss called Eulimenes a fool for thinking she could defeat her husband. Meanwhile, Blossom said that if she could defeat even one of these dragons, she could get the Dragon Slayer title. Fleo wanted to try it out, and said to throw at the dragon what she was holding. When Blossom threw it, Fleo used enhancement magic such as Haste, Pierce, and Sanctify, which resulted in the dragon being defeated with just one throw. Blossom was surprised and delighted to have obtained the Dragon Slayer title. Now even Balarasa wanted to do it too, but the dragons had already gone far away. Meanwhile, all of this was being watched by the Dark One on his crystal and thought that Fleo was just an ordinary adventurer but possessed extraordinary power, and here he said that he would be the one to go there next. The next day, Fleo was seen setting up a magical barrier around their houses so they would know if any demons would approach them again. Meanwhile, Blossom was still overjoyed with the Dragon Slayer title she had obtained. Later, Balarasa left and said that she would go hunting beasts for their food. Blossom admired Balarasa's diligence, which didn't stop training, but the truth was Balarasa also wanted to obtain the Dragon Slayer title, because the title was so prestigious that she could restore her family's honor. Later, a man suddenly approached her looking for someone. Balarasa asked if he was looking for Fleo or his wife. The man replied that he knew Fleo's wife, Riss, which made Balarasa suspect that the man was a member of the demon army, because Riss used to be a member of the demon army, and Balarasa asked him what his intentions were, and if he had bad intentions he would face her. The man admitted that he was part of the demon army and said that he only wanted to see Fenris, but to avoid trouble, the man just left. Before he left, Balarasa asked for the man's name, and he replied that his name was Gozel. Later, Fleo arrived and asked if Balarasa was okay. Balarasa replied that she was fine and said that Gozel, a man from the demon army, came here, and then Fleo said that the man was the Dark One he detected from his barrier. Balarasa couldn't believe it, and Riss also said that Gozel was actually Gol. Here, Balarasa was terrified that Gol might finish her off. The next day, the Dark One returned and was invited by Fleo. He was amazed by Fleo because he was still calm even though he was facing him, and he met Balarasa again. While they were talking, Balarasa wondered why she had to participate in this conversation and sit next to the Dark One, and here, the Dark One directly invited Fleo to join the demon army, which was rejected by Fleo. The Dark One then asked why Fleo rejected him, even the offer to join the kingdom. Fleo said that he had no reason to fight anyone and was also not from this world, so he did not know the reason for the conflict between the two parties. Riss said that they did not reveal the reason to Fleo because he did not want to fight either, and it was the Dark One who told the story about the history of this conflict. After the story, Fleo asked if Gozel wanted to stop the war, and Gozel replied that even as the Dark One, he had no desire to rule the entire world, but as the leader of the demons, he would defend his people against anyone who would harm them. Gozel proposed to Fleo to join them again, but Fleo said that he did not want to ally with either party. The Dark One laughed at Fleo's response, and before leaving, he was amazed that besides Fleo, there was another person who could remain calm in his presence, and admired Balarasa. It turned out that Balarasa had lost consciousness earlier, but the next day, she woke up in shock because the Dark One was back and eating breakfast. For the days that followed, the Dark One repeatedly visited their house. Meanwhile, in the kingdom, someone reported to the king that a man who had come from the demon territory was always visiting the adventurer Fleo. The king was angry about this and wanted to send soldiers, but the princess prevented him from doing so, saying that he should not immediately accuse anyone until all of this was proven, and that Fleo might get angry if the king took such action. It would be better to resolve this through a peaceful discussion. However, the fake hero suddenly appeared and claimed to be the one who would talk to Fleo and convince him. In the demon castle, the Dark One planned to visit Fleo again, but he was blocked by Eulimenes. The Dark One said that Fleo was a kind and understanding person who was more worth befriending than the king, and that if he could gain Fleo's trust, it would be of great help to the demon army, Eulimenes mentioned that the entire demon army was waiting for his command to attack, but many demons were not pleased with his visit to a human. Meanwhile, Fleo and Riss were talking, and Fleo said that now he knew that he had such immense power, he did not want to use it for fighting. Riss admired the kind-heartedness of Fleo. Later on, the fake hero arrived together with an army of soldiers. Here, the fake hero accused Fleo of siding with the demon army and lets Fleo choose whether he would join him or be finished off. As the fake hero was daydreaming, Fleo replied that he had no intention of siding with anyone. The fake hero deemed Fleo as a traitor, but Balarasa defended him, which led the fake hero to blame them as well. Because of this, Fleo decided that they would leave and used a teleportation spell that included their house and garden. Upon the Dark One's arrival, he found that Fleo's house was gone and became enraged at the soldiers. He summoned the entire demon army to launch an attack, and the fake hero quickly escaped once again. Meanwhile, we see where Fleo and the others teleported to. It's close to the town of Hofto in the western part of the kingdom. The demon army has started attacking the kingdom, and the demons are slowly closing in. The king asks where the hero or fake hero is, and is told that the fake hero has gone into hiding again. The king says that they need to gather all the magicians in the kingdom to use the purification spell. While watching the battle unfold, the Dark One orders his army to stop the attack, as it's likely that the kingdom will use the purification spell. We then see all the mages in the kingdom, including the king, who is also a powerful mage, starting to use the purification spell. Back at Fleo's house, they discuss their plans to earn money in the kingdom. We see that all the mages, including the king, are weakening due to the use of the purification spell. Since the king is unable to rule, the princess takes his place on the throne, and her first order is to strip the fake hero of his title. She says that the fake hero didn't contribute anything, even during the demon army's attack. They ask if the princess plans to summon a new hero, but she plans to consult the oracle about their next move. The next scene shows the fake hero being banished. The following day, Balarasa plans a date for Fleo and Riss. And before the date ends, Fleo gives Riss a brooch that Riss is delighted with. That night, Riss is overjoyed and slept beside Fleo. Meanwhile, at the palace, the fake hero is seen stealing valuable treasures. As he wonders how Fleo was able to use such powerful magic, a sudden voice speaks to him and says that she will grant him power. The fake hero follows the sound of the voice and finds a sword stuck in the ground. The voice tells him to pull out the sword to gain power. When the sword's hilt was pulled, a djinn named Haya emerged. And as a reward for setting it free, it offered to grant 3 wishes. Meanwhile, the princess was conversing with the oracle, asking what could be done to save the kingdom. But suddenly, a necklace appeared around everyone's neck, and the princess realized that someone must have known about the treasure. The necklace was called the Collar of Sacrifice, which a djinn would use to take the life of whoever wore it in exchange for granting a wish. The princess revealed that the former king of Clyrode Kingdom had wished to defeat the Dark One at the time, but the price was the lives of half of the continent's population. So, everyone worked together to seal the djinn away, but now it has been released. They asked Oracle Ursula again what to do, and she began an incantation, saying that the true hero must be found, who was located in the west of the kingdom. Everyone thought that Fleo was the true hero and needed to be sought out, but the princess decided to go and talk to him herself. Meanwhile, Fleo was selling the shields he had made from the dragon scales to a shopkeeper, who was impressed by their quality, and during their conversation, Fleo even won the shopkeeper's admiration. Balarasa was amazed by Fleo's strength and business talent, and wished she had a man like him. However, Riss said that Balarasa already had a suitor who was also strong, just like Fleo, Gozel, the Dark One. Balarasa was shocked to learn that the Dark One was interested in her. As they walked, the system suddenly announced that a djinn was approaching, and Haya appeared. We learn that the first wish of the fake hero was to eliminate Fleo, who had humiliated him. Haya suddenly attacked, but Riss intervened to protect Fleo. Then, Haya launched another attack, but Fleo's defensive barrier blocked it. Fleo attempted to use his healing magic, but it wasn't possible due to the severity of the damage. However, he was suddenly attacked by Haya using her primordial light magic. Haya was surprised when Fleo still could withstand the attack, and the system reported that he had obtained the primordial light and dark spell, but it didn't catch Fleo's attention as he was consumed with anger. Automatically, the system used the time reversal magic, and all the damage inflicted to Riss was reversed. Haya was surprised at how one person could use magic like this, and she asked who Fleo really was, but she was immediately attacked by Fleo, who was fed up with her. It wasn't until then that Haya realized the enormity of Fleo's strength, which was infinite. Later, Riss woke up and saw Fleo's anger, which made her happy and thrilled that Fleo was angry for her sake. However, Riss remembered that Fleo was a kind person who didn't want to hurt anyone, so she stopped Fleo before he could finish off Haya. Fleo then calmed down, relieved that Riss was okay. Meanwhile, the princess from the Western Kingdom arrived to find Fleo, but they noticed that the necklace was gone, returning to the fake hero. It turned out there was another sealed being and went inside the body of the fake hero's woman. It was the Grand Magus of Midnight, Damalinas. Damalinas introduced herself and said she would use the fake hero, transforming it into a massive monster that flew towards the princess to exact revenge on the royal family for sealing her. Later, Fleo used healing magic on Haya, who was shocked. Fleo explained that Riss was fine and he's no longer angry. When asked what he planned to do with Haya, a djinn, Fleo said he needed to seal her again in the kingdom's treasury. Haya was shocked and asked how Fleo knew about it. Fleo revealed that he had gained the ability to read his opponent's minds, which was how he discovered Haya's thoughts. Haya was amazed that Fleo could use magic that only she, a djinn, could wield. Later, Riss stepped in and said that from now on, she would serve Fleo. Riss explained that even if Fleo didn't want to, this was the only way to keep an eye on Haya. Fleo agreed, saying that if Haya promised not to harm anyone, he would allow her to join them and not seal her away. Haya was surprised, thinking that people were selfish and full of desires, but Fleo was different. She accepted and swore loyalty to Fleo, but also thought of something else. Fleo then thought of using the time reversal spell again on the destroyed buildings, but Haya warned him not to use it in large areas, as even she, the owner of the magic, preferred to use it on a single target at a time, since the magic was too powerful for one person to wield. Haya also explained to Fleo, who now she calls the Exalted One, that Fleo is possessing infinite skills from the symbol he bore, and could use the total acquisition magic, allowing him to learn any spell used against him, including those that only Jinn could use. Fleo then used restoration magic, and when they returned home, everyone was shocked to find that they now had a Jinn living with them. In the evening, Fleo asked Riss what she was thinking, and Riss asked Fleo if he would return to his own world now that he could use Jinn magic. Riss also said that she would follow Fleo wherever he would go. Fleo said he wouldn't return to his world and wouldn't leave Riss, and here he asked Riss to be his real wife, and Riss said that from the start, she already considered them as real husband and wife, and this marked the beginning of their passionate night. However,